Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Steven and Kori. I'm Steven and
I'm Kori, and
this
we're
is
getting it
Kori.
together.
Getting it together. Together, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, very, very special interview with Bob and Betty Ann Golden out of Las Vegas, Nevada. They had such a thrilling session our first session. We're back for our second half.
We want more.
And
We're at the buffet. We're going around the bar again and getting some more.
Yeah, absolutely. And on this episode, they're tackling the F word called finance.
Yes.
Right?
And remember, this is a couple who have been married for 54 years.
Yes.
So when they're speaking to you, open up your ears.
Yes.
Be very willing to understand that you're talking to people who have lived the life that you may want to live, or at least glean from their experiences as we have. We've known Bob and Betty Ann since 2007.
Yeah. And and they've done it. I mean, it's not fake.
And we've seen their lifestyle, guys. Yeah. It's a really nice. They're the 1%ers in this world, actually. I'm going to do a little intro so you guys understand why they're the 1%ers. So I'm going to read a little bit about them. I'm going to start off with Betty Ann, and then we'll go to Bob, and then we'll go with what they've done together.
Well, you do that.
Okay, great. So Betty Ann, as you guys know from the first episode, mom of 2, and she found a love of baking special cakes. I am jealous because I've just baked my first cake. It was pretty good. And as a side business. Yeah. Now, as the boys grew older, she decided to go into real estate. And of course, because she's a 1%er, we only have 1%ers on here. Yeah. She became a real estate mogul. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
And in Vegas, right?
And in Vegas, of all money. So because of her real estate, she's won numerous awards, which have put her into the, resulting into the multi-million-dollar sales category.
Right.
Now, here's what she's done. Because of that, Betty Ann has also been highlighted in a feature cover story in 2017 to 2018 in the edition of Las Vegas Women magazines as success beyond the bright lights, because we know Vegas is the bright lights. Yeah. And again, what she touches turns to gold because their last names are Golden and they've been married 54 years of gold. So she's a golden woman. Now, I got to tell you something else. She was also a featured writer, a special writer in an article in Networking Times magazine titled Integrating the Feminine, because look at her. She's gorgeous. I mean, when I'm trying to look like her already. So, but she is the epitome of a feminine, strong businesswoman. She's not hard. She's not anti-male. She loves the man.
Comfortable in her femininity.
Totally comfortable in her femininity. And that's what I love about spending time with her. So I'm going to let you read a little bit about Bob, and then we're going to go into how they created their philanthropy and their own business icons.
So Bob started his journey in business in the automotive industry, where he founded a firm called Golden Eagle Petroleum Corporation, creating a successful chain of service centers for a period of over 20 years in Southern California. Bob is the true entrepreneur and businessman. He had a highly successful record of many accomplishments, and he was always been a catalyst in bringing people and opportunities together, creating strengths stronger than if they were separate. That's called synergy. Yeah. He is the master of synergy. Yes. So he's got lots of other things. I'll let him talk more about that. But ladies and gentlemen, back again, Bob and Betty Ann Golden. What a joy.
Fireworks again.
Awesome.
So tell us about,
take it away, guys.
So the two of you individually and then coming together to form this entrepreneurship, and through your network marketing business and through all your offerings to your community and charities. Tell us about how all that worked and how you came together. Yeah. And tell us the downs and ups.
Yeah. And how it didn't ruin your marriage.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So real quick, I have to tell you a little story. When we first got married, I went to the grocery store, and back then we would have little books from horoscopes that used to be near the checkout stands. And one caught my eye. It said, "Are you a good, marriage partner?" And I looked up my horoscope, which is Taurus, and Bob's horoscope, astrology, is Gemini. And so Gemini male with a female Taurus, and it said, "Not good marriage partners." But then I read more, and it said, "But makes great business partner." And I went, okay. So I went home and I told Bob, I says, Bob, you won't believe this, but according to the horoscopes, we do not make a good marriage partner, but we make good business partners. So it looks like we need to run our marriage like a business.
Oh, now that's clever.
So now take it forward. Yeah, as we have learned and grown in self development courses and just life, I look back, there is no difference. You, if you can't be yourself in a marriage and be yourself in partnership with businesses
Mhm.
and anyone that you're relating to in a business, if you if you have to be different, it's not going to last. One of them is not going to last. And but a solid foundation is built off the same principles.
Mhm.
Being ethical, honest, and authentic, whether it's with your spouse, your your siblings, your children, your parents, your friends, or your business partners.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
makes no difference. It is the same principles. So when you do that, it takes time. And I mean, we're all human. We're all going to falter. Um, so I liked doing cakes and I was doing it for my mom and dad's catering business. They would pay me. And so I had a built-in clientele.
Yeah.
And, but it got to a point where I was loving it, but Bob wasn't enjoying it because I had cakes all over the place
Everywhere.
throughout the house. And I had 2 kids, and
Yeah.
even though he wasn't at home during the day, but when he came home at night, he was in that space back then.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurial skills were
Was
not
not
developed at that time.
He
Okay.
was let's go to work and make money.
Right.
And, so I got frustrated and I rebelled against it, and I just said, "I'm not making another cake ever."
Mm.
Okay? So I cut
Okay.
myself off
Mhm.
instead of saying, "Hey, Bob, I really enjoyed doing this. We need to make this work.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm.
What can we do?" And I'm sure if I did that, we would have worked something out.
Mhm.
But I didn't. I just cut myself off.
Yeah.
And so then I just focused on being the mom that I was. And until the kids got into college, when I realized I didn't have to drive them anywhere, I didn't have to take them anywhere.
Any sport.
I didn't even have to buy their clothes for them. So they didn't need mom
Right.
to off, except they always wanted to come home and do their laundry at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
But other than that,
Yeah.
they
Was
didn't.
that okay with you having all that time now all of a sudden?
Yeah, I had too
And, you
much time on my hands.
Yeah, and the funny part about that is that we belong to a country club. So Betty Ann was playing golf, playing tennis. We were going up for wine dinners and just really enjoying. And she was going out shopping with the girls, and
Right. Do you feel like the part of your brain that is creative with the business side, which you may not have known was there, do you feel like that's why you're bored because you weren't using that template?
Actually, I'll be honest with you. It's being able to know that I am assisting someone
Mm.
in doing what they want to do.
Mhm.
So for me, whether it was business or not, that was not my thing.
Mhm.
That's not my focus. Being a Taurus, I'm a home person. I want everything to feel good,
Mhm.
and I want it to be the best. And so I know the business side not necessarily was the focus. The focus was I needed to feel needed.
Mhm.
So
Gotcha.
Bob said, "Why don't you find a profession or something that you want to do
Mhm.
and go do it?"
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of anything. And then I racked my brains. My neighbor went into real estate and she's come home with all these big Mercedes and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. And then I had friends that were in real estate and I was like, okay, we came home from vacation. I made up my mind. I said, okay, let me get into real estate. I got into a class that was closed, but they had a cancellation. Got in right away, got my license, started real estate, and I loved being able to find
Mm,
people their
home.
dream homes.
Yeah.
Back
Again,
then,
that service, because you have that service
Mhm.
heart, that servant heart, you were able to serve someone in a desire that's big, a home.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why I became a real estate agent.
That's why you excelled at it, because your
Yes,
heart was in the right place.
yeah, and it wasn't about the money. I didn't really need to go to work.
Right.
Um, Bob was a great provider on that in his business, but I needed to feel needed.
Needed. Yeah.
The beautiful thing was it was a business and it was
Mhm.
profitable and I was good at it. And I never, I, d- in the very beginning, I did one like full call. I
Mhm.
got a listing and I was by chance, I got a listing and it was a tough one, but I got it through that. And after that, it was referral after
Yeah.
referral after referral. And
Wow.
I only worked with referrals and it
Mhm.
was wonderful
Yeah.
and
That's
lots
fantastic.
of fun.
Yeah.
But I got good at knowing once I took them out once, I knew what they wanted.
Yeah.
I just
So
knew
and that led you into this the recognition, I presume. Yeah.
yes. And then I was able to, you know, I was into, um, we were also into philanthropy back then.
Mhm. Mhm.
And between the club, between my real estate and everything else. But we did a lot of things and it was fun. And then Bob, working his butt off, eventually retired from his automotive industry. And
But let me explain
Mhm.
that word retire. And that is, people ask Betty Ann and I all the time, when are we going to retire? And I said, my answer is always, we've been retired for a long time. And they go, no, you haven't. You're the busiest people in the world. And I says, well, you're just not understanding our definition of retirement.
Bravo.
Absolutely.
Very good.
And they said, well, what's your definition? I said, we're retired from things we don't want to do.
Good. Mhm. That's
We
good.
only do things that we enjoy,
Mhm.
that brings us love and it brings us
Beautiful.
happiness to us. And if that's the case, then we're in.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
if not, then we're not. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what kind of an opportunity is tied to it as well. And I mean that.
Yeah.
So like,
So for you, Bob, as you move from one thing that you desired and you enjoyed to the next, how did you and Betty Ann come together
Yeah.
to say, okay, because obviously you were always philanthropists together, but when you gelled a business together, what did that look like for you, Bob?
well, it looked like for me is something that I should have done a long time ago,
Hmm.
because both of us working together was just a double strength.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. So I say to people, if you can work with your spouse or do things together, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it because
What are some of her strengths that are your weaknesses and some of your strengths that are her weaknesses where you see that there's about you, the two of you make the balance?
well, she keeps me out of trouble to where a lot of times I'm going in a direction that maybe I shouldn't be going in,
Yeah.
or spinning my wheels on something. And
Yeah.
so she kind of helps um, nudge me in a one direction or another that is extremely helpful. It's like having a personal success coach.
Mhm.
It's like, wow, this is
Yeah.
cool. All right.
well, my strengths are more actually for him. Our partnership I'm really technical, even though I'm not, but I'm more technical than Bob. I can understand technology a lot more. Um, I also am more of like, if something needs to be learned or trained, I have that more of, that's more of my strength.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bob's is the networker. He's the guy that pulls everything together. He can take what I've said or done or written, and then he sees another picture and he puts it all together.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
We have seen them in action, you
Yeah.
guys. And I have to tell you that when Bob says, like, like Betty Ann just said, it's not derogatory, where she kind of guides him. Bob is a full, all out person. If he's going to give you a piece of him, he's going to give you all of him. And
Absolutely.
sometimes Betty Ann's like, you don't need to give that much, or let them grow in this area because Bob will take care of you. And, not that Betty Ann won't, but she's got to watch her husband because he can drain himself on something that doesn't need to be his energy. It doesn't need his energy. So I love how you put that, because we've seen that in our lives where Betty Ann hasn't told him not to help us, by the way, but we've seen how he commits to us, and has committed to helping us become business entrepreneurs ourselves. And then, as I told you in the first episode, she's my sensei. I can come to Betty Ann with anything, and she gives me a perspective that I haven't thought of. And that, to me, that's a strength for
Yeah.
her, to me. And you have to, in business, find people, especially if you're going to do business together, or you're going to be business partners, or you're going to see each other in business constantly. You have to find people that you're safe with.
Absolutely.
And I would say, as you guys can see, we are completely safe with Bob and Betty Ann,
Sure.
and I hope that they feel the same with us. But yeah,
Absolutely. I just want to say that it's very insightful. So I just want to say thank you for your kind words, but at the same token, also thank you for your words of your insight. Because that is, and that's great counsel for people, that you want to surround yourself with people that you're safe with, because this way they don't have a hidden agenda,
right.
and we've all been there.
Well, sometimes they're good. They fool you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes. But the point is that, and again, once, the more we can be authentic and genuine with ourselves, and that with others, the other stuff will surface, and we'll be able to see it, to be able to say, no, that's not what we want.
And that's law of attraction. So if you're authentic with yourself and you're authentic with others, the authentic people will attract to you.
Yeah.
The other,
Absolutely.
And the other ones will fall to the side because they know they can't keep that mask on for very long. It'll slip.
Right.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I hopefully you see that as we have had this visit with Bob and Betty Ann, we've walked through some basic tenets of this podcast of get it together.
Yes.
Get what together? We'll get all the issues and the drama of life together. Talked about communication. We just talked a little bit about finance.
And
There's one
now
we're going to talk about intimacy.
Listen, this holding hands and just sitting and talking, that's making love. That's a form of love.
That's right.
And I got to tell you something. We have seen a form of love in Bob and Betty Ann's life. They're just little things, like when they're walking together, the touch on the shoulder, or when they're laughing, how they lean into each other. 54 years, people. Look at them. Look at the way they're sitting. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that example in your life, with other couples,
Yeah.
find those couples that you can say, hey, how did you do that?
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, what does love look? What does intimacy look like for you? And so,
Because it changes over the seasons. They
does.
have been together almost 5.5 decades.
yeah. So think
And
about that, people. And
hormonal
we-
changes, body
yeah,
changes.
we had the show Menopause and Andropause. We've all been through it. If you've been married for more than 30 years, you've been through it.
Yeah.
So don't pretend you haven't. But
So what
But-
wisdom can you
yeah,
guys share
so-
with this audience?
for your relationship, your intimacy to each other, by passing, the kids are gone, you have this business together, you still have to be husband and wife. You still have to be those loving partners.
Well, as you said, Stephen, it does change over the seasons. Every day is not the same day, which we don't want it to be the same day. We want new experiences. We want new things. Um, that really that stirs the spice of life as we know it. However, one of the things that has always been an underlying factor is we've been each other's best friend.
That's good.
And that leads to the intimacy. We've been each other's best friend.
So we're there for each other when there are struggles. We face them. We, sometimes we challenge each other. And it makes us stronger. It makes our relationship stronger. It, uh, there, there's always, I always say, marriage life is a bed of roses. When you walk through them, you have to, when you reach out for a rose, you have to make sure you're going to eventually prick yourself on a part. If they're beautiful enough, they're going to be thorny. And so you need to find in between where there is no thorns. And you need to say, okay, that is a beautiful rose worth pinch.
Yeah. Or you could wear gloves.
It's true.
No, I'm not trying to be humorous now.
Yes, you are.
That is true.
Well, they have to be very heavy leather gloves.
Yeah.
But I love that the rose has thorns.
Mhm.
And you're right. And is it going to be worth the pinch? Because we are going to get pinched. That's just life. And we're not better. We're better for the pinch sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, we just have to recognize that, for us during our times of trial and tribulations, our life was up and down
Mhm.
in all kinds of emotions.
Yeah.
At all kinds of times between, just growing up together as kids into adults immediately, and him realizing he was a father of two and husband, and he needed the responsibility of bringing home the money.
Mhm.
And that alone was huge in the beginning. So to navigate our sexual life and intimacy in that aspect, it wasn't simple.
Yeah.
We had to work at it.
Mhm.
And at times we had to regroup and say, okay, I had to say, is this relationship worth it to me?
Mhm.
And he had to say, is it really worth it to him?
Mhm.
And we had to realize, what really did we have together? And
Yeah.
together was our energy of love for and respect for each other, no matter what.
Yeah, we weren't willing to give up.
We never-
And let me say this: anybody that has been married for any length of time has gone through a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of times it may have been financial up and downs.
Mhm.
2000, January of 2000 to be exact, we woke up one morning and got a call from our stockbroker and basically said, "Well, guys,
Yeah.
1999.
yeah,
Right?
Gone.
we lost it all.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. 2000.
Lost it all." And I said, "You know what? Um, I could have given up.
Mhm.
I could have given up." And there was, I do have to admit, there was one part of me that said, well, that would be the easiest way around that. But no, I can't do that. That's not me.
Mhm.
And we weathered the storm.
Yeah.
And,
It wasn't the first time it's happened to us either.
yeah, it wasn't.
We've made investments in other things,
Sure.
and they've been south.
Yeah. And, we could get mad at each other or do this, but we never did.
Mhm.
And we stayed the course. And but the one in 2000 was the biggest. But here's the thing: in in 2000, it was 3.5 years later. Now we were, in a point to where we were buying property to build a custom home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And by 2005, we finished that custom home, which
Mhm.
Steven and Kori, you've been in a number of times.
Mhm.
Uh, and if somebody would have told me back in 2000 when I was looking at those really dark times,
Mhm.
I would have never dreamt
Right.
I would be stepping into that spotlight
Mhm.
years later.
And as you say that, if people can correlate that, take that same image that he just gave you, and then put that on your intimacy also,
Mm,
and then put that
Yes.
on your children also, because you're going, that's their low.
yeah.
Even and I'm going to use this as an example on the intimacy, because again, it's not just a sexual, it's the emotion too that you share
Right.
with each other. Like they just said, they're best friends.
Right.
And so if you take that same, in 2000, they were at the bottom, the one of the lowest points financially. Well, in your intimacy with your spouse, you may be at the bottom.
Yeah.
You may be at the dry, most lowest level, but you don't know what 3 years can do
Yeah.
of work.
Absolutely.
You don't know what kind of, they built their mansion. You don't know what kind of mansion of intimacy you can have with your spouse if you just stick to it, stay with it, because you are going to have dry moments in the intimacy level too, just like you have dry moments in the communication and just how like you have dry moments in the finance. That's what we call all three of these.
That's right.
Those three keys in the marriage can go high and can go low. And we're talking to a couple of 54 years who have gone
54.
high and gone low, and you can't get more. I don't know who else to talk to outside of you two. My parents weren't married that long. His parents weren't married. I mean, really, this is like the primo. Okay,
Yeah.
we're the primo couple here
Yeah.
because they're giving you truth and fact, and they're not afraid to share it. So thank you both for that.
So, what's the secret sauce as we begin to wind down on this second half? What's the secret sauce, guys?
Well, as I mentioned to you, best friends, one of the key factors of everything is communications. And one of the things, going back to those real dark times, either one of us could have blamed each other.
Mhm.
And how many times does that happen in a couple's marriage, that they hit the rocks on some challenges and they blame each other? Next thing you know, they're because they don't want to take responsibility.
That's good. That's good.
They don't take that responsibility.
Mhm.
My dad always said there's three sides to a story: his, hers, and then real truth.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if you look at a coin, there's heads, tails, and then there's the rim around it that connects the two. And
That's really good.
See what I told you guys? Go ahead, Betty Ann. Go, girl.
but he always says, you got to take what you need to do is you need to understand his and her. So you have to understand yourself and you have to understand your partner.
Mhm.
And then you need to make it work. And if you don't feel it's worth giving it that effort,
Mhm.
and that's another story.
Yeah.
Then you shouldn't even be there. But that means that you don't feel yourself is worth.
Yeah. You know what's interesting, Betty Ann, as you were saying that, it reminded me of a pie, since
Yeah.
you bake. But you have the lower crust and the upper crust, and you have the filling. But to
Mhm.
get those two crusts to work, you got to press that fork in, and you've got the highs and
Blend
the lows,
them.
but you've got to make it fit.
Yep.
And that means some of the lower and some of the upper are meshed together all the way around to make that pie fit, to
Yep.
make it cook right. So yeah, you got to make your marriage cook. Make it cook. They got to cook we got to cook in marriage. Well, we
That's
want to
great.
thank you both so much. Is there anything that you want to share with us for as far as links that you would like us to put on? Go ahead.
Sure. be patient too with each other. That's
Okay.
another.
Be
Thank you.
Be
patient.
patient with yourself.
Yes.
But mygoldengreetings.com.
Mhm.
That's our card business.
Mhm.
We also I'm starting a podcast. I'm not doing any business from it, but we're doing just talking about life in general. Just myself and another woman from
So give us
Canada.
that link on this one because you shared it on the other show.
Yes,
Yep.
yourheartoflove.com. And Bob is also in the industry of music industry, which he didn't get into the entertainment industry. And but you know, the
Well,
I don't know if you wanted to say anything.
mm, well, that's a whole nother conversation.
Do you want to share your nonprofit? The
Oh yes, definitely. Mondays Dark. That's MONDAYSDARK.com. And you can look them up on Facebook and or go directly to their site. It is you can stream twice a month. You can stream for free and watch a 90-minute show of
Nice.
local entertainers entertaining you that night. I will have to say explicit.
No. He's cleaned that.
Oh, he's cleaning it up.
Yeah.
He's cleaning it up because it is global. Okay.
Last 2 weeks ago, we have all these different entertainers, and we raised $10,000 in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
You can
beautiful.
donate to them. You can.
Hold on. So can you watch the show and donate at the same time?
yeah. But here's the cool thing: Mark does an interview of somebody, and our interview
Last
in the
time.
middle of the show on the last show was Tony Orlando.
Oh, Tony Orlando and Dawn. I remember
Yeah,
them.
and so Tony spoke accolades regarding Mark of what they're doing and what we're doing in the community. And it's something it is really cool. And the reason why it's called Mondays
Yeah.
Dark is because the shows are dark on Broadway. Broadway shows are dark on Mondays.
And him and his wife used to always be on Broadway shows.
Yeah.
Okay,
they-
dark
they-
meaning that they don't perform on Mondays.
So he
Gotcha.
called it Monday's Dark.
Yeah.
And they not only do we raise $10,000 in one night, it's not for Monday's Dark. We raise $10,000 twice a month in 90 minutes for a different charity,
Local charity.
a different local charity. We have like 300 or more. Every year we have to go through and pick only 21 for the whole year of charities to be able to have this event
Mhm.
that are on our list that keep asking us to be on our list.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, that's beautiful because that's another part of your philanthropy and giving back to communities.
Yeah, it's that exposure, and we don't even think nothing of it. I always thought it was about the money, but it's not. It's about
But
Exposed.
the exposure brings it continuously.
Right.
Yeah.
absolute.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You guys have been so generous. And anytime we can be in service to you, let us
Mhm.
know.
Please. Yes.
We love to make any kind of contributions we can. So it's
Yeah.
been really awesome.
Thank you for your time. Everyone, I want you to put in comments what you've learned from this show and
Yes,
part
exactly.
one also, because we'd love to be able to give that back to Bob and Betty Ann. But thank you so much for your time, Bob and Betty Ann, helping us understand how you both got it together.
Absolutely.
And by the way, we
Thank
are
you.
continuing
Yes, to get it
to
to
work on getting it together.
That's
And,
true.
and Stephen and Kori, I want to thank you for your lifelong friendship, for what you're doing with this podcast to get the message out to people regarding that with relationships. And most importantly, you guys, just let you know that we golden love you both
Yeah.
and that you guys rock.
Oh,
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Yeah, everyone, have a successful evening and share this podcast with those you love and care about also. Take care.
Bye now.